I'm Jeff Kishorek with Home Point Financial.
And my name is Joe Malorba with Remax Coast and Country.
So today's topic that I wanted to discuss, and I'm just curious, it's kind of a controversial topic. I work with a lot of real estate teams. I work with a lot of individual real estate agents. So my question to you, mortgage guy, realtor, is really part A, part B. So part A is if you're the listing agent of a home and you have a home listed, you have an open house scheduled, a bunch of potential home buyers walk in, they see your property, and one decides to make an offer but has no representation on their side, so nobody is working on their behalf with respect to a realtor. Do you feel as though, one, it's legal for you to represent both the buyer and the seller? Is that legal in the state of Connecticut? I know various states have various rules. And if so, is it something that you feel comfortable doing?
I think this is 100% situational. So I actually sell about 25% of the sales that I do. I represent both sides. It is legal in Connecticut. It's called dual agency. Okay. In dual agency, just to define it, one agent is actually representing both the buyer and the seller, and they have a lot more responsibilities in that they have to be very careful not to give the private information of either party to the other party. So for example, Jeff, if you were to tell me, I love this house, this is my favorite house, I want to pay $200,000 for it, but I want to start at 180, I could never go to the seller and say, don't accept this offer, we can get more, if I'm representing both sides. In the same sense, if as a seller you were telling me, I'm in the middle of getting divorced, my ex-wife's crazy, we just need to sell this quickly and move on, I don't care what I get, I just want to move on, I have an obligation to you, a fiduciary obligation to you as my seller, not to pass that information along as well. So in my opinion, dual agency is tricky, and you need to make sure that you're working with somebody that has a lot of experience and has done this before. This is not something you want to do to just save a buck. This is something that needs to be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, so, well, actually that was part B of my question is, before I get into my opinion of both. Part B would be, assuming it's not an open house and a buyer calls you out of the blue and says, I want to see one of your listings. I'm assuming that happens quite a lot. Rarely. The popular perception amongst consumers, and I deal with a lot on a daily basis, is that if they go directly to the sell side, instead of having a buyer's agent represent them in submitting an offer or going to see a home, that they're going to get a better deal. So is that a misconception?
Again, totally situational. I think that, first of all, you need to make sure you're working with somebody that's experienced to do this, period. Second of all, there are a lot of agents out there that aren't experienced, that aren't negotiating on their own behalf, and so they're just taking a flat 5% commission. And they don't adjust that commission no matter what, so they aren't going to drop that commission if they represent both sides. Then there are other agents, such as myself, who charge 6 or 7%, but do drop the commission down if I'm able to represent both sides, just to help to bring both sides a little closer together. All in all, when you're looking for your dream home, you do need some guidance. And so you need to make sure that the person that's representing you in a dual agency situation understands you, has great communication style, and is making sure that your needs are met, and helps guide you through the process. We're not here to sell you a home, we're really here to help you understand the process. So it's not worth 1% or so just to get somebody that you don't get along with. Ideally, you get along with the agent. If you're able to save a few dollars along the way by getting your needs met, it can certainly work, and we do it often.
So it's all circumstantial. It's all based on
circumstantial,
the individual scenario. Okay, so my opinion is this. I come from the mortgage side of things, so I see this quite a lot, where an agent will represent both the buy and the sell side. And that's why I like working with teams. I work with a lot of different real estate teams. And when that happens, a lot of times what you're going to find, and tell me if you see this on your side too, that if you feel as though there is a conflict, you can always take that buyer and place them in the hands of one of your teammates so that they can represent the buyer completely individual and
Sure. So there's two parts
So
to
there's
this
no
answer. One, teams are always going to outproduce individuals all day, every day. Teams are the future of real estate, and teams like myself, I have a full-time marketing person. We have somebody that does, the transactional paperwork. We have some people that do our pictures and staging, and then we have somebody that does a lot of phone calls for us, and then we have a couple different salespeople, my mom and I mainly. So you always are able to get a second opinion. You're always able to get a different perception or angle of something, and I think you're just going to get a lot better service. So I personally think teams are always the answer. If you're working with somebody as a team, you're going to get much better service.
and you're always going to have more coverage. So I guess at the end of the
But
day,
technically with dual agency, just so we're all on the same page, Connecticut defines dual agency as if the listing is within a brokerage. So if I'm working at RE/MAX, another RE/MAX agent has a listing, I am actually technically now a dual agent, because technically I could probably somewhere in the office find their files if I knew they were kept and get additional information.
under the same umbrella.
Right. So there is a little more to dual agency than just the agent representing themselves. One, but two, I think anytime you as a consumer is able to work with a team, Jeff has a team in the mortgage side of things as well. You're just going to get much better service, and you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck.
Well, I think nowadays the consumers are more educated, and that's again the goal of these videos. So what I would say, advice to any consumer, anybody looking to buy a home, refinance, sell a home, do your homework.
Absolutely.
Interview
Absolutely.
agents, multiple agents, see who you click with. See who's going to represent you the way you want to be represented on both the financing side and the buy or sell side
Sure.
of a purchase transaction, because dealing with an informed, well-seasoned, intelligent agent or mortgage professional is probably the only thing that's going to separate a very frustrating process from a very efficient, smooth running process.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I like to consider that when I'm looking at the whole process, the average buyer is looking for 9 to 12 months online. And both Jeff and I advertise on Zillow and advertise online, so we're getting a lot of these inquiries. And a lot of these people are like, hey man, I don't want to waste your time, I'm just starting. And to that I say, we understand. As you're starting to look through homes, as you're starting to figure out who you like, as you're starting to go through the open houses and get a picture of what your perfect home looks like, you'll be talking with some agents. Maybe you don't actually sit down and interview the agents. But if you find an agent that's able to take the time to really explain the process to you, to really help you understand it all, then maybe you should consider working with them as a buyer's agent. And then if you happen to have them represent both sides of the deal, you'll already have that trust developed.
So, till next time, we appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.